Hey guys, it's Logan here with Hydra572, unfortunately bringing you some bad news today as my SOG Spirit failed its second outing at being a throwing knife. SOG was gracious enough to send me a replacement handle when my first one broke, throwing it into wooden targets, and so I took it out and tried to throw it again, and there you guys see it broke. This is unfortunate because SOG does claim that this can be used as a throwing knife, and I've kind of wanted this thing to be cool for a long time. I finally got around to picking one up after trying out SOG's Tomahawks, which are very high quality, very fun to use. I thought that maybe some of their other more fanciful stuff might be cool, might be built in that same style, and this just didn't work out as a throwing knife. So I think I'll let this video stand as my formal review. There is no sheet in front of me, obviously, because this isn't just a fixed blade knife, and I don't have a sheet for fixed blade knives anyway. So I will discuss all the problems with this blade and all of the cool possibilities that it presents. For those of you who are not aware, this blade is designed so that this headpiece can screw off of this plastic handle and screw onto a broom handle to be used as a spear. Now I'm going to try to fish the threaded piece that broke off inside out using the Leatherman OHT to loosen up the screw here that tensions on whatever's inside. There's the broken piece there, and I will see if with the pliers on the OHT we can get that thing out of there. And it loosened up real quick. There you guys can see the threads that go from the plastic handle had a little metal dowel reinforcing them, and unfortunately this failure is very similar to the one that I experienced before. This time I was smart enough and paying enough attention to keep all of the parts around so that I could show you. So yeah, it failed right there along a stress riser, just as you would expect. Unfortunately, just not enough rigidity, not enough durability in a plastic handle. And as I've said, this isn't me throwing a fixed blade and saying, oh, what the hell, it broke, man. No, their website says in their advertising of the blade that with the included handle you can throw the knife. And maybe that's true if you're wrapping all of your targets and your target stands with some really durable foam of some sort. Unfortunately, that's just not my rig. That's not a lot of people's rigs. I think if you advertise your blade as a throwing blade, it has to stand up to being, I don't know, thrown into a tree, thrown into a stand made out of 2x4s. Just my opinion, of course. If you have a beautiful foam rig set up and for some reason you want to use the SOG Spirit exclusively as a throwing knife, go right ahead and do so. It probably will be fine. It was fun to throw. It's a wicked blade profile. It was actually a pretty good thrower for how oddly it felt weighted and how odd it looks. And it is a really cool looking blade. Very different from what's commonly available in terms of throwing knives and just fixed blades in general. Not a utility fixed blade cutting type of design, obviously, not a whole lot of belly with the included handle. No, the really cool feature of this blade is being able to turn it into a spear easily. However, I bought a couple of broom handles, and I found first off that broom handles aren't made very durably. That's not SOG's fault, but in terms of throwing, broom handles aren't made to handle that torsion on their headpiece, and quickly those threads will start to loosen from the broom handle, and it's just not a very good situation. I also broke the threads off of one broom handle that I purchased. So I tried out a couple, and the ones that are commercially available around me just don't turn this thing into an awesome throwing spear. It is a relatively heavy headpiece. The entire thing is metal. I don't believe it's full tang. I think this piece is attached, which is how I would expect it to be produced. I had a distributor version. I bought mine at Walmart because it was cheap and available, and it only had a small portion of the second side of the head ground. I assume that's to get around dagger type laws because, as we all know, daggers are wildly more dangerous than other types of knives. I don't know. So in terms of throwing this thing into a spear, if you're wanting it for a home defense weapon, this knife is available at Walmart. I think I only paid $20 or $25 for mine, so it was pretty cheap. And then a broom handle will be right around $10, so that puts you up around $35, maybe $40. However, you have to realize that in that price range, you're starting to get to the point where spears on Bud K, made by United Cutlery, the same guys that make the M48 Tomahawk, and even Cold Steel's smaller spears will start to compete with this thing. So for a throwing spear, you might want to look in those two places. For just a thrusting spear, attaching this thing to a broom handle and having it sit around, I don't know, maybe it's your garage defensive weapon, I think that could be pretty cool still, and just having a spear to go out and stab things with is cool in its own right. It's a really cool idea. Unfortunately, it didn't materialize very well, partially in my mind due to this handle. It's just too bad that if you advertise a blade as a throwing knife and then it comes and it breaks when it's thrown into wood, that's going to be a bummer. And these were pretty much head-on hits this time. This wasn't hitting sideways. These were head hits and close to head hits. So that is a bummer. It definitely does not get a pass from me as a dedicated throwing knife. However, in terms of a novelty item that you can throw a little while before the handle breaks, and then, I don't know, I'm thinking about making my own handle, taking like a small paintbrush extension that uses the same style of threads and using it to make a smaller throwing handle, and then buying a larger extension and weighting it correctly to make a spear. And I'll probably do all that because I've already purchased a blade. But if you're looking at putting together a spear, I don't know. The SOG Spirit doesn't seem to be a great way to go. Durability problems, and because the head is so heavy, unless you find a well-weighted broom handle, you're going to have balance problems as well in terms of throwing. For thrusting, not as much to worry about. As I said, I've found that broom handles just aren't that durable, unfortunately. So you might break your broom handle, you might break the head threaded piece off your broom handle just in the process of trying to use this thing to defend yourself. However, overall, a cool little novelty from SOG. I wouldn't necessarily advise you to run out and go pick one up. I was pretty excited about the thing, and it still managed to under-satisfy my expectations. So that's too bad. The handle is definitely under-designed. But overall, cool idea. Thanks for trying to execute, I suppose. SOG, and thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.